welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Bookmas. I've done my least favorite books of the year, so let's chat about and let's gush about some of my favorite books that I read in 2025. Now, some of these I have spoken about very recently in recent wrap-ups. I will leave those linked down below. I won't go into too much details about those books, but I will talk about other books in a bit more detail. Starting with an honorable mention, this series I have done a whole review for. You can check it out in one of my previous Bookmas videos. That is the Jane Austen Murder Mystery series. These are YA murder mystery books that are adaptations of Jane Austen's classic novels, and I had such a good time with them. I thought they were really fun, really enjoyable, and I can't wait to see what this author does next. Just wanted to give those a little shout out. They didn't make it into the top 10, but I did really enjoy them. So starting with number 10, I have spoken about this, and that is Vanya and the Wild Hunt by Sanku Mandana. This is a really fun middle grade fantasy series about a young girl discovering that she has magic, going to a magic school. I really enjoyed this, and I cannot wait to carry on with the series. I did mention this in one of my recent wrap-ups though, so I won't go into too much detail here. At number 9, I have The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. This is the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series, the kind of sequel series to Percy Jackson, and in this book we follow 3 different characters. We follow Jason. At the beginning of the book has amnesia and doesn't quite remember how he got to where he was and kind of who he even is. We have Piper and Leo, and the 3 of them basically end up discovering that they are children of Olympic gods, get sent to Camp Half-Blood, and there is a kind of mystery going on that they are thrown into that they kind of have to try and figure out. I really like the kind of diversion this book took from the original Percy Jackson books in that this is a multi-POV story and it also switches to third-person perspective. I really liked all of our 3 new introduction characters. It was, I think, added a really nice element kind of switching between the 3, so we had different stories and different journeys throughout this book. I really enjoyed the trails that they went on, and yeah, have been enjoying this series quite a lot so far. Obviously, you cannot read this series. I mean, you might be able to, but I wouldn't recommend reading this without reading the original Percy Jackson series. But I think this is, if you were on the fence about reading this book, even if you liked the Percy Jackson series, I would really recommend it. I thought it was really well done and really enjoyed it. They do get progressively thick, but I think having those extra POVs kind of really helped with the pace of the story and added definitely a very nice distinctive element from the original Percy Jackson series. Really enjoyed it. Cannot wait to carry on with the series. I've read the second one, also really enjoyed, but yeah, cannot wait to carry on with the series in 2026. Book number 8 is another one I've spoken about recently, but that is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I loved this book. A cozy romantasy story. I thought the humor was great. I really enjoyed the romance, and I really enjoyed the overall story. Again, it introduced me to a new author that I cannot wait to carry on and trying out in 2026. And I think is a good one maybe to start if you're on the fence about cozy romantasy. I thought this one was really well done. I really liked it. Book number 7 is one I don't own, and that is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I've actually read the whole trilogy this year and have really enjoyed it, but the first one is definitely my favorite. This is a sci-fi series about a group of superheroes called the Renegades, and we have split POV in this again. We have one main character who is from a supervillain group, one main character from a superhero. The supervillain infiltrates the superhero team, joins the team basically to try and take them down from within. I really liked this. I thought it was a really unique story. I really liked some of the superpowers that were portrayed in here. I thought they were really cool and interesting, and I really like this setup in general. I am like a fan of superhero stuff in general. I have like a My Hero Academia tattoo, which has like a similar premise of like people having these powers. I really enjoyed it. I liked the whole trilogy. I didn't necessarily 100% love everything how it ended, but the overall trilogy I really liked and would recommend, especially to maybe fans that want to try something like different sci-fi. This is a YA series, but do try something in the different kind of genre if you want to try a little bit of sci-fi. But I think the first book in particular was my favorite. We got the setup, and I actually really liked both our main characters, Aiden and Nova. I really liked both of them, and so like following their story along together was really interesting. There is definitely a like kind of little subplot of like a kind of enemies to lovers kind of in a YA sense. I really enjoyed it. I thought the first book was a really good introduction to the series. It's quite long-winded. It's quite slow in paces. You'll see with a lot of these books are quite slow, but that's something I'm finding I'm loving this year. So yeah, really enjoyed this, and I'm really excited now to carry on with other things Marissa Meyer has written, especially the Cinder series. That's going to be the next one I check out from her. These are really good. They were on my borrow box, so if you're in the UK, you potentially could get the audiobooks out from your library, and it was dual POV as well, so like you had split narrators as well, so that was good. So I would recommend the audiobooks. I listened to the first one on audiobook, but then I did manage to find the second 2 in charity shops. Yeah, really like the series as a whole. For book number 6, I have Skandar and the Chaos Trials. This is the 3rd book in the Skandar series, and I just really enjoyed it. This is a fantasy middle grade series. I think it's really, really good. I really like the world. I really like the setup. It's about like a group of kids that end up going to like a unicorn riding academy. There is elemental magic in it. There is a kind of insidious plot going on in the background that our main characters are trying to figure out. Our main character, Skandar, his power is a little bit different. He is a little bit special in that sense, but I really like the world. I really like the setup. I really like a core group of characters in this, and this was great. It ended up going in a few different ways that I wasn't quite expecting, And yeah, I cannot wait to finish the series. I'm slightly procrastinating on finishing the series just because I think I'm going to really enjoy them, which I don't know if some other people do. Like if you think you're really going to enjoy something, you put it off slightly. That's something I have done definitely with this series, but I am definitely going to be finishing it in 2026. Really recommend it if you haven't tried it out. If you're also on the fence about maybe trying out a middle grade, I think this one is maybe a good one to get into. It is a middle grade, but as the story goes on, our characters are growing up. I think they're about 15 in this book now, so you kind of go with them throughout the years of this training school. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Book number 5 is technically a reread. However, I first read it when it came out in 2008, so quite a while ago now, and that is Brisinga by Christopher Paolini. This is the third book in a YA fantasy series, kind of epic high fantasy series. It's a huge ass book and I absolutely loved it. Again, this is very, very slow, and Christopher Paolini is very descriptive in his writing. One chapter was just focusing on like the forging of a sword, and so like some of his writing is very slow and very descriptive, but again, I'm finding I really enjoy that, and I had just such a good time with this book. I'd basically forgotten everything that happened in this book as well, so it was kind of like reading it for the first time, but really enjoyed it. Cannot wait to finish this series. And yeah, definitely think it's kind of a nice staple in the fantasy, high fantasy, epic fantasy YA sphere, and definitely something I think if you're in that genre, everyone should at least check out. The first one is probably not going to be for everyone because it is quite a slow series, but it is one that really works for me. I do physically read all of these. The audiobooks don't work for me, but I absolutely love this series, and so happy that I did a reread of the first 3 so that I'm fully prepared in 2026 to finish off the series once and for all. I could not believe how much I had forgotten. So when I was reading this, I had forgotten everything basically, near enough, that had happened, other than the kind of significant plot twists, let's say. But all the smaller minor details completely forgotten. But yeah, really like this book series. Had such a good time with it. Cannot wait to finish the quartet in 2026. Book 4, I cannot remember if I've spoken about this book, but again, it's a slow, this one is an adult fantasy series, and that is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. I did not expect to enjoy this book as much as I did, because I've heard kind of people say, you know, it's his first book, it's not as good. I loved it. This is a epic high fantasy story set in a world where this city of Elantris used to be full of like very powerful kind of higher people. It ended up getting like wiped out, and instead it kind of became a land of like kind of the living dead. These people would get cursed with this like disease where they would like lose their hair and they would go really pale, and then anytime this happened to people in nearby kingdoms, they would get sent to live in this kind of desolated kingdom. And so this happens to our main character, and it's kind of him figuring out what the hell is going on while you have a couple of other POVs. And I just really enjoyed this, the kind of the way that the political sphere ended up all kind of culminating at the end. I really like resolution of the plot, the kind of reasons why the things that were happening in this city were happening. And yeah, I thought it was really well done and I really liked it. I haven't read a ton of Brandon Sanderson. This is only my second. Yeah, this is only my second, I think. But I really, really enjoyed it, and it's definitely made me want to get back into reading more Brandon Sanderson after I had a bit of a break after reading The Final Empire. I'm not sure why, but I really enjoyed this one. So like definitely I'm going to be jumping into more Brandon Sanderson in 2026. He's also coming to he's bringing Dragonsteel to the UK in May, and so I might be going and seeing the booth in MCM. I haven't been to an MCM Expo in years, but I might just for that. That is also a motivation to try and read a bit more Brandon Sanderson before that point. So on to my top 3 now, and so for number 3 we have The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is the first in his epic classic fantasy series, and one I actually, was so surprised that I really enjoyed. I was worried I wasn't going to like this because I had tried to read it as a kid, but my reading has definitely progressed, which good because it's been 20 years and I'm glad that I can now like appreciate different stories than I could then. But yeah, it is quite a slow story, but it's really well done. And obviously, like, I'm saying that like that's news. None of you have heard that. But yeah, it would surprise me by how much I enjoyed it. Again, it's a bit slower. It has a lot more of the kind of like story told out through dialogue that I was necessarily expecting. There is like a big scenes where Frodo and Gandalf are just talking to each other and you're getting a lot of backstory and plot, and I actually really liked that. The only reason this book didn't quite make it maybe even to my top book of the year is because of Tom Bombadil, who I couldn't stand. I did do a lot of this dual reading. I listened to the audiobook. Annie Serkis does an amazing job. However, I don't know if Tom Bombadil would have been as annoying if I just read it as opposed to listening to it, because he kind of sings everything and I found him so freaking annoying. So I'm so glad he got cut out of the movie. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but yeah, for me, he was definitely the low point of this book, and so it wasn't my favorite, but I did still really freaking enjoy this book and cannot wait. I'm saying this for all of the series, but I cannot wait to carry on with them in 2026. On to book number 2, and for the longest time, this was my favorite book of the year. It was one that I read pretty early on. I think it was in February, and one that really stuck with me, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it is the second book in the series, and it is The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. This is a cozy murder mystery series about a group of old people in a retirement home. There has been a Netflix movie. I need to watch that, actually. And I liked the first book in this series, but I didn't love it. I just thought it was like quite fun, quite enjoyable. And I think maybe because it was the introductory book, it kind of takes you into it where you're getting to know the characters a bit more. Whereas in book 2, you've got those relationships fleshed out, you've got those characters fleshed out, so you kind of just dive straight into different journeys. And I just loved this. I cannot believe how much I enjoyed this story. One of our characters has quite a like sad kind of B plot going on for him, Ibrahim, and I was so like emotionally affected by his story. Like it was just like, it was really sad, but it was also really nice to be so invested in characters. I haven't carried on with the series. I do really need to. Looking forward to doing it in 2026. But I just, yeah, was taken aback by how much I enjoyed this plot. This one takes kind of a different turn. In one of our characters was a spy in her previous career, and so one of her ex-spy colleague ended up getting involved and fearing that he is being targeted, and so our group of pensioners jump on this case. I do think sometimes, which I can see people not necessarily enjoying this series as much, the POV plots sometimes do get a little bit confuddled. There is quite a few of them, and I think as the story goes on, there ends up being a bit more, so I'm interested to see if that affects my enjoyment. But I did listen to the first 2 books. I think the audiobook narrator did a fantastic job. I loved it. I loved this book. And for the longest time, it was my favorite book of the year until I read book number 1 in, I think, October, and that I've spoken about recently is Craven Manor by Darcy Coates. This is an adult horror book set about a young girl who inherits a winery, and she's living in this new house that she knew nothing about, and something is going on, something spooky. I really liked the core friendships that she built with the people also living in this like little winery thing, and I really liked the reveal of the plot. I really liked the pacing of this book. I just really liked this book. I really need to buy it because I listened to, again, the audiobook of it and really want one now for my physical collection because I just thought it was so freaking good. I'd recommend this book maybe as a starting point if you were interested in getting into Darcy Coates. I definitely think her horror is less, I guess, like shock horror and more like slow-paced relationship built, which is something I think I really prefer, the kind of ties that she brings up together and making you kind of invested in the character. But yeah, really, really liked this book. It made it to my favourite of the year and is one I'm definitely going to reread in the future, definitely going to still be thinking about. I just really liked it. Those are my top 10 with my honourable mention. I will say for me, favourites are not necessarily always books that I rate the highest, which I think is a bit of a weird juxtaposition of itself. But like I can like a book and I can love a book, but I can kind of see it not being quite a 5-star, but it could still be one of my favorites. I will say the top 2 books in this were 5 stars, but like for instance, I didn't rate Elantris 5 stars, but it beat out some books that I did rate 5 stars. I think just because of looking at it like maybe slightly objectively from a different perspective when rating, as opposed to my favorites just being ones that I personally loved. And yeah, all these books though I did really enjoy. I would recommend if you were interested in those age ranges and genres. I loved them. I'm so excited to go into 2026 and find a bunch of new books that I will be devouring. If you've made it this far, please do let me know your favorite book of the year. I would love to know, love to see what people have been loving this year. I don't know if any of these books actually came out this year. Actually, Vanya and the Wild Hunt did. Otherwise, basically everything that is one of my favorites have not been from this year. I'm not really up to date on like current trending books, so like I am usually a bit behind in that sense, but would love to know your favorite books of the year. But if you're not feeling chatty, you want to just leave me an emoji, leave me the book emoji, because we're just loving on books in this video. We're just talking about some books that we absolutely love. We've got 2 days left of Bookmas after this, so I will see you in a couple of days for more Bookmas. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon. Bye.